viewers, it's time for more half-assed reporting. We're coming to you from the Lori Bookstein Fine Art Gallery, and boy do we have a treat for you, because I walked in here and ran into Lori and she introduced me to John Dubrow, and we snagged the artist right here. I'm going to look at this painting here first. So we're going to look at some of John's paintings. What's the title of this one?
This is called Playground Sandbox, and it's a painting from 2007 that I reworked in 2014.
Okay.
And many of these paintings are reworked. This is a painting from 2010, which I completely wiped out and reworked last year.
We'll just come in and do a little sweep around and give people an idea of the layout of the exhibition here. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. You were saying that you had been in Williamsburg for years?
I lived on South 11th Street in Williamsburg from 1983 to 2003.
And where are you located at now?
And I'm Tribeca.
Oh boy.
After a quick spell in Paris. And I ran back to New York City.
Now, I don't have a list with the titles and stuff on here. You want to give us a little title here?
So this is Bailey. This is a portrait of William Bailey.
William Bailey. Isn't he an artist?
He's an artist.
Yeah.
He's an artist.
And that's probably, what, about 66 by 48, something like that? 5.5 by?
66 by 50.
50, okay, I'm close. You know, one of the things is I was just kind of glancing at some of the portraits. Most of the work that I've seen by you before has been landscapes, but I was kind of looking at some of these portraits and thinking about some of the late Bonnard's. I don't know whether you're familiar with his work when he kind of got more realistic and was doing a lot of great portraits, but some of the sensitivity, the way you're handling them, the mass and sort of catching these poses made me think of him. Well, one of the things I think a lot of people would appreciate is your technique with the very broad slabs of paint.
You know, it's interesting you talk about Bonnard because I also don't work from perception.
Okay.
So these are imagined with a lot of drawing.
Really? So you don't work from
I don't work from life.
people sitting in front of you?
So with these portraits, they sat for me 6 years ago, and then I wiped them out and reimagined them in the studio.
So you're really kind of composing these more as paintings, using just the subject as a reference. You know, but this little shot there on the back of his hand, so that is so nice. Okay, what's the title on this piece?
This is called Tribeca.
Tribeca, your new neighborhood. Yeah. You know, I just got through pedaling through that area, and well, this looks like it could be a little later into the summer, but it's getting to that kind of, you know, the nice downtown New York feel, sunshine. Now, you're doing all this with straight oil paint, right?
Yeah, there's no medium at all. It's a lot of oil paint.
And you said that
they're
these...
just improvisations. I just begin somewhere and the figures move from one spot to another.
Do you do a lot of changes? I mean,
yeah.
Is there...
I mean, you know, there are...
Nothing is sacred, you just whatever...
There are hundreds of figures under this arrangement of figures. And every day is a different sort of... I begin to... She was over here, then she was over there, she over here.
That's nice, and I especially like the slab of that liver color there coming down. Well, here's something that I also ask painters. Who do you look at? Who do you like? Who inspires you, gets your juices flowing?
Well, a lot of people, but I mean, I think in the last year I've been particularly thinking about Matisse.
Ah.
But For me, there's been a lot of influence of early Italian painting, Giotto and
Right, Fra Angelico and all those guys. And this makes me think of Prospect Park for some reason.
yeah, it's Dog Hill up in Central Park.
Dog Hill. And, well, one of the things I love is you take these big slabs of color, almost like the abstract expressionists, but then you kind of carve them into these beautiful scenes with figures and landscape. You know, and also I think that I could be wrong, but it almost is like the scraping out is as important as what you put down.
Yeah, for sure. And almost everything, you know, these paintings are all about all the accidents that happen in painting, in the process of painting.
I love that little shot with the sweater there. And this is maybe the largest piece in the show?
Yeah.
And is this also in Tribeca?
No, this is Bleecker Playground.
Bleecker. I'll probably be going by that place on my way back to Brooklyn. Get some of the paintings in the back room. Now, who did you say this was a painting of?
That's of the poet Mark Strand.
The poet Mark Strand.
And this is also reworked from an earlier painting. I wiped it out and reimagined it.
You know, I mean, there are certain elements about this that make me think of Hans Hofmann, late Hans Hofmann. You've got these nice kind of geometrical forms, and even though you've got a little portrait kind of squeezed in there, there is that kind of horizontal, vertical, push-pull kind of configuration. And we'll look at this piece too. Okay, so that looks like something around the meatpacking district.
That's done in Soho.
So,
The little triangular place on 6th Avenue in the Spring.
I used to get pizza right across the street from there. Yeah, those little shots of color are so nice. How much of this do you do with palette knives, and how much do you do with brushes? Do you have any rules about that, or just whatever the tool happens to be at hand?
Well, the last 6 months I've been actually using the palm of my hand.
The palm of your hand.
To be smearing paint on. And a lot of times after I do that, I'll take a big spatula and just smooth it off and simplify the color.
How about some of the great European, I guess I would call them materialist painters, material painters, people like De Staggia or Leon Kossoff, those boys.
I actually saw a Kossoff show. The Kossoff show that was at Mitchell Innes and Nash
Yes.
last spring or last winter. And it was quite interesting. You know what it did is it reminded me of my earlier work, which was much thicker than the last few years.
So,
I used to be an abstract painter, and I traveled on a lot of paint back then.
and this latest work is thinner.
Right, so this work is going back towards that. And I'm interested in those guys, in Kossoff and De Staggia.
Okay, well, we'll look at this piece here. This is also in Tribeca, right? Now, do you mix the colors more on the canvas, or you mix them on the palette? You buy these in the tubes, or do you mix it with the dry pigment and oil?
No, I just have, I buy big quantities of paint. I have a big palette table.
What kind of paint do you use?
I use Blue Ridge oil color.
Blue Ridge.
Everyone should use it.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Is it cheap?
It's cheap.
Okay.
And you can get big quantities of it, and it's good colors. And so I mix on a big palette table, maybe 24 by 36 inch
Sure.
palette table. And I suppose it's before every mark, I'm constantly mixing.
All right, well, Mr. Dubrow, thank you for taking the time. And congratulations. Does the show have a title?
The show's title is Transformations.
Transformations. And these are paintings from the last 10 years, something like that? All right. Okay, thank you. And that's James Kalm coming to you from the Lori Bookstein Gallery. And as always, thank you, Kate. All right. Thanks, Joga. That was good.